Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela. So, welcome back to hashtag Deacon Walk 2023. We are now in, as of yesterday or today, depending on how you want to look at it. Today is November 22nd, 2023. We are now in Sagittarius Decan 1. And I read real quickly earlier today the book. I haven't really had time because, Thanksgiving is tomorrow in the U.S. here. So I've been working and preparing for that. So I haven't really dove into this. Now, I do want to say, let's first flip it over. So in the book, 36 Secrets by T. Susan Chang, it says Express Delivery. The Decan, and I'm going to get the wheel out here. The Decan we're in, let me find Sagittarius. We started here. We're all the way around to, there's Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. We just ended Sagittarius. It starts it says here November 23rd. To December 2nd. So I'm doing it a day early. On the book it says the 22nd. So that's interesting. The 21st or 22nd. But for Sagittarius Decan 1, we are the 8 of Wands. Which is here. And we always see the 8 of Wands as speed, action, air travel, movement, swift change. It's fast paced, right? And of course it's wands, makes it fiery, makes sense. So we are actually in, what is it? Where did it go? How'd it go? And it is Mercury in Sagittarius. And Mercury is, as we've known before, the magician. And then Sagittarius is depicted by the Temperance card. Which kind of, it's almost like telling a story here where the magician is like, I can create whatever I choose. This is it, moving fast into that direction. And then the Temperance is like, yeah, we need balance here. Let's slow it down. That's how I feel here. Very interesting. And this is the deck I've been using for this. And then we have the Journey of the Sacred Bee, which is a more Thoth-based, here's the 8 of Wands in that, and this is the keyword is swiftness, and we have Sagittarius and Mercury here. Here we have Sagittarius. Alchemy is the word for Temperance here, and this is one of the reasons I bought this deck, this card. It's so beautiful. And then we have the Magician here, and then we have Mercury there. For this one. Now, interestingly enough, my birthday is September 2nd. September 2nd is my birthday. I'm a Virgo. Interestingly enough, and I've always been fascinated with this, my mother's due date was the last week of basically Thanksgiving Day. So I would have been, had I been born on time, a Sagittarius Decan 1. Instead, I was Virgo Decan 2. I find it fascinating because she didn't know she was going to have me when she went for a checkup. She was almost 3 months early. She had health issues. They had induced labor. It was a whole thing. I was a miracle baby in the paper. It was a whole thing. And I've always resonated super deeply with being a Virgo. Like if you open up the description of a Virgo, there's my photo because I'm every bit the Virgo. And I just found that fascinating because I wasn't supposed to be born a Virgo. I was supposed to be born a Sagittarius. And I read through quickly the chapter on this Decan here today while at work, finishing up work on my last break. And I was like, I found a couple things fascinating because I've never really resonated in my mind with being a Sagittarius ever. Um, I'm meticulous. I'm can be considered cold sometimes just because I'm very matter of fact opinionated. It's not just that I'm opinionated, it's that it's a very matter of fact opinionated, which is a very dark trait of Virgo because when we think we're right, we will hold on to it till the death of us. And I feel that kind of way with Sagittarius, but I always felt like Sagittarius because my ex best friend of 15 years was a Sagittarius, is a Sagittarius. She actually is a Decan too, for Sagittarius, which I find interesting because I'm Virgo too, Decan too. She's Sagittarius Decan too. That's not the point. I feel like I'm rambling, but the Sagittarius I've always known as a fiery sign. It's more of a fly by the seat of their pants, go get them, whatever they want to do, wherever the wind takes them, kind of free spirit is how I've always seen Sagittarius. And every Sagittarius I've ever met has those qualities. And I'm like, there's no way I could be anything to do with Sagittarius because in my mind, they were more of a free spirit. I'm a Virgo. I have to have things meticulously laid out, planned out, a controlled environment. And Sagittarius just doesn't have that. And when I was reading the book today, it just shocked me because I found a couple things in there and I'm like, wait a minute, that's me. So I kind of really, I didn't deep dive, but I dove just under enough of the surface of this Decan, which I should have been born to realize there are a couple of qualities that I have that are Sagittarius, which I found interesting. I'm 40 something, almost 50, closer to 50 than I am 40. And I'm just now realizing I may not be complete Virgo. There may be Sagittarius symbols and signs in there. So I just found that very fascinating. I don't know my moon sign and all that. I would have to have somebody look that up for me because I don't know anything about it. I've never really dove into astrology that deeply. The reason I'm doing this the Decan walk is to get to know not only the tarot cards more, but some of the astrology symbols and things like that. Because I had no clue before. But I have been tapping into those kind of energies. For example, Scorpio about kicked my butt. And I just kept feeling like, okay, the fire is over, the fire is out, but we drowned the city in water to get it to go out. And now we're picking up the pieces. It was not a great feeling. It was like and of course, it is a water sign. And I was terrified when I did the first water sign that I'm like, oh, because I'm not a very emotional person. I don't deal with emotions well. In fact, I don't deal with them at all. It kind of was like after the first water sign, I'm like, oh, I got this. And then this one just I was caught up in the flood. And it just was very interesting how the many different Decans we've done already, I've kind of just sunk into those energies. And sometimes it's not the greatest feeling in the world. Scorpio was a nightmare for me, the whole 3 Decans. And I'm just like, I'm done with this. Because there was a lot of whirlwind emotions coming out of me that I couldn't stop. And I'm just like, I don't like feeling like this. And I had to face a lot of those emotions. There were things that should have came out a long time ago, but what are you going to do? So now I feel more comfortable going into the fiery sign again. Like, is it not a fire? I don't think it's a fire. Is it a fire? Yes, 8 of Wands. It is a fire sign. So I just found it interesting because when we started this Aries 1, I was like, nope, because I felt like it was being burned alive. And then the second fiery sign we did, I was just like, nope. And now we hear with another one, I'm just like, we'll see. Because it does feel more comfortable to me. And I don't know if that's because I should have been a Scorpio or Sagittarius or what. But it already feels more comfortable than the Scorpio did. Way more comfortable. So I'm like, maybe I could do with a little fire. maybe dry things out from this Scorpio, because that was a nightmare. But anyway, I digress. I went on for 10 minutes and I've just showed you these cards. Let me read something in the book here. It says, with the Eight of Wands, we arrive at the first decan of Sagittarius, the sign of the sign of the archer and the great centaur teacher of heroes, Chiron. In tarot, the minor cards of Sagittarius are the 8, 9, and 10 of Wands. I've always found these particularly apt at a metaphorical level. The 8 of Wands is the speed of the arrow. The 9 of Wands is the strength of the archer. The greater the strength, the farther the flight. And the 10 of Wands is the striking of the target, the decisive thunk when the arrow sinks into the bullseye. Together, the speed, strength, and strike depicted in these cards form a picture of determination and deadly accuracy at a distance. So I just thought that was interesting because I'm like, I never thought of it that way. Let me see. Mysteries of Temperance. While many tarot cards bear alchemical references, Temperance is a card of alchemy. And we've seen in the other card, the Thoth deck I have, the Journey of the Sacred Bee, alchemy is the keyword on Temperance, which I love this sunflower. In the Thoth deck, it's called art because alchemy has long been known among its practitioners as the art or the great work. On the Thoth art card, behind the alchemist angel, you can make out the alchemist, motto. Often we assume temperance means moderation, which is not inaccurate. Finding the middle way is an integral part of temperance. But moderate does not mean average. The great work is not the work of trying to be mediocre. It is the work of traveling to one's own heights and depths, exploring the light and shadow, expanding the self to its own extremes in the same way that one tempers a sword by plunging it into white-hot fire and ice-cold water. That's why on the Tree of Life, the path of temperance runs between the separative of the sun and the moon, hot and cold celestial opposites. And I just found that interesting because I've always seen temperance as the card of balance. So it kind of backs that up there. It's not a card of moderation. It's a card of finding that middle ground. And I love that because that's how I see the temperance card. Okay, and this says rainbow. Let me see if this is the one I was wanting to read to you guys. Yes. Rainbow messengers. We've mentioned temperance's connection with archery, which extends deep into Kabbalistic territory. Maybe I'm not reading the right thing. Yeah. The paths of the moon, judgment, and the world from the image of a bow being pulled back. The Hebrew letters corresponding to these paths are blah, 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 blah. Together they spell... blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can't read all that. There's a second set of references to how the bow shape embedded in temperance, and they have to do with the classic hunting weapon, but with the meteorological phenomenon that is a rainbow. And in the normal card, there is a rainbow here. The rainbow forms when two opposites meet, fire, the sun, plus water, the rain. We will encounter this phenomenon again with the Ten of Cups as watery Pisces gives way to fiery Aries. While there is no rainbow explicitly depicted on the Waite Smith Temperance card, it is there in code. To one side of the Temperance Angel, we see a stand of irises, blooms named after Iris, the messenger goddess. So in a sense, the Eight of Wands corresponds to two messenger deities, Hermes in the form of Mercury, the magician, and Iris in the form of Temperance. Both travel freely above and below between Olympus, our human world, and Hades. Both act as agents of the Olympians, though rarely at the same time. Okay, so that's not what I was trying to read. I don't know. I didn't mark it earlier. Maybe it's this, make a talisman. No, hold on. Hold on. should have marked it earlier. And then she talks about how she made bags, talismans. When she was going through the airport, she put a copy of the card of Eight of Wands, tied a ribbon around it, and put it as tags on her luggage. And she said she had never gotten her luggage through so fast or so quickly ever. And I'm like, that's interesting. I'm trying to find where I was at earlier, where I was like, ooh, this makes me realize I've got a little Sagittarius in me. I have a little bit. But now I can't find it. I should have let me just read this. On the Fortune's Wheelhouse podcast, my co-host and I often speak of Kabbalistic doubles. We're referring to the concept of Kabbalistic dignity, which is just a fancy way of saying the number and planet of the card corresponded to the number and planet of the Sephira. For example, the third Sephira, Benai, corresponds to all threes in tarot, and also the planet Saturn. That's not what I was reading either. I cannot find it now. So I'm going to not read anymore because I can't find exactly what I was looking for, and I don't want to waste any more time. But to sum up, the Sagittarius is the go-get-em attitude. It's the fiery act of the wands, taking that action, going in head first, and maybe not always thinking on both sides of the coin. Like if this was a Virgo situation, Temperance would to me mark that moment where Virgo takes that, before they take that first step, that first actionable step, they think about both sides of what, if I do this, what could happen here? If I don't do this, what could happen? Whereas Sagittarius kind of leap into things and they're like, I got this. As a magician, they're like, I got this. And they charge in head force or charge ahead with the Eight of Wands energy. And I realized today I have this Eight of Wands energy. I have this, oh my God, I need to go and do this and make my mark on the world and do this. But I also have the Virgo kind of overrides that. And says, you know what? We need to take every step with caution. So nothing gets done. So I find it almost like they're opposing energies fighting each other. And I'm just stuck in the middle going, yeah, I can't do anything. So I found that very interesting that I do have this drive, but then something stops me. The Virgo in me stops me. It's like, you need to use your head. Maybe you shouldn't do this. Maybe I just need to get out of the Virgo energy altogether for a while. And it's interesting because they talked about the irises here, and the iris, I've been seeing it everywhere. And it started with the, for Hoxotero, I got it, and I'm like, why is there irises in every card? And I started noticing other decks too, and all of a sudden I was pulling irises constantly. So I'm going to have to dig a little deeper into that because it's in the Temperance card, which I find fascinating. So yeah, let's read the poem real quick, because I always read the poem, and I haven't read it yet. Excerpt from A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. It says, Oberon, about the wood go swifter than the wind, and Helena of Athens look thou find. All fancy sick, she in a pail of tear, with sighs of love that cost the fresh blood dear. By some illusion, see thou bring her here, our charm his eyes against she do appear. And then it says, Puck, I go, look how I go, swifter than arrow from the Tartar's bow. I just found that interesting. It fits quite well with this Decan. So I know I rambled on, and I feel like I just rambled and didn't speak right. But I hope I got my point across of what I was saying about this particular Decan. I do feel a kind of closeness to it since I've done this little study on it. But between the immovable force that is my Virgo nature, I'm intrigued now, especially with the irises here in Temperance. And Temperance is usually one of the cards I kind of look for to make sure there's like a balance in it when I go to buy a deck, or just I like looking at Temperance to see that balance striking. So I find it interesting that this is in the Sagittarius Decan that I should have been born under, but I wasn't. Either way, I mean, I was born when I was supposed to be born, but you guys know what I'm saying. But yeah, that is Decan 1, Sagittarius Decan 1. I feel like I just rambled on and didn't speak right. I hope you guys know what I was talking about. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And y'all have a good night.